Two of the top mistakes that sellers make when they are wanting to sell their home is one, overpricing their home, and two, letting emotions take over. And I will tell you, those two kind of work hand in hand. So, and they both kind of come from the right side of your brain, which is the emotional side of your brain, which means, hey, we need to sell our house because we need to move to a bigger house, a smaller house, the kids have moved out, whatever it is, emotionally, you decide you need to move. Great. Then the logical side kicks in and you say, we need to hire a realtor, we get an estimate of value, and let's work this out. Now here's the problem, and this is where both the emotional side and the overpricing comes in. So for instance, this is our primary home, and I put in a gas cooktop. And so I had to pay for the gas drop, had to upgrade the range, and of course I had to get like nothing there, right? Because I wanted to show off my quartz backsplash, which my choices were no backsplash, tile backsplash, or quartz. So of course I upgraded. But let's say my neighbor next door has the exact same model, and they have an electric cooktop, so that wasn't an upcharge, and they just accepted the appliances that Minto gave them. In the buyer's eyes, unless they absolutely have to have a gas cooktop, there's no difference in value. What if in addition to that, the neighbor next door put in level 1 quartz rather than level 7? Of course I did. What if they didn't put in a backsplash, but I did? What if they didn't upgrade their cabinets and put in these bougie little door openers? These are all things, and they're called quiet enjoyment. So I built my house the way I want to build my house because I wanted to personalize it, and this makes me happy. The neighbor next door, who is the exact same model, they don't have level 7 quartz, they don't have a gas cooktop, and they just accepted what the builder gave them. So I've spent thousands of dollars upgrading, and they have not. But emotionally, I think my house is better, right? We all do that. I think my house is better than the neighbors because I have navy cabinets and they have white. And I have level 7 quartz and they have level 1. You get what I'm saying? But when the buyer comes in, they expect my house to be the same dollar as the one next door. So either I'm overpricing my home because I spent a whole lot more on appliances than they did. Or they say my house is worth as much as Penny's house because Penny listed it for X amount. That's what I'm going to do. So emotions go both directions. So you need to look at what is reasonable. Now, when I talk to sellers, they're like, well, Joe Bob down the way, he has his house listed for X. It doesn't matter what Joe's house is listed at. What matters is what Joe's house sold for. Okay, so when we get an appraisal, the appraiser looks for closed sales. And they're gonna see that we're similar in size, similar in age, similar in condition, similar garages, things of that nature. So I have upgraded my house to the max, and I think I have the best house in the neighborhood, but the buyer who walks in may not like my navy cabinets, I can't imagine, may not like my quartz, may not like my cooktop. They might like the neighbor's house better because it's not as colorful. Maybe it's more neutral and mine's more colorful. So buyer psychology enters into this, but at the end of the day, market value for your home is willing buyer, willing seller, and then of course the appraiser agrees. So spend some time with a realtor, that's me, Penny Rafferty. Spend some time with your realtor and really look at the numbers. So for instance, here in Margaritaville, in the last year, our market has shifted. We have over 60 homes on the market, okay? Well, that means that more and more people are either moving up, they're moving out, they've had life changes. So now when a buyer comes in, whereas before they didn't have very many choices for resales, they had like 20 choices, now they have 60, okay? Ranging everywhere from $380 up to $999. So there's a range in there, and there's homes on the market, and even worse, yes, I said it, even worse, the sales center has shadow inventory. So if you want to sell your house in this market, instead of doing the micro, which is like, hey, houses are selling in 3 days, and that's true in some areas of the country. It's true if the seller has priced the home to sell and they're the prettiest home in the neighborhood at the best value. That's where we are right now. Prettiest home in the neighborhood at the best value. And so that's why you need to let your emotions go out the window, and really when you're selling, work with the left side of your brain and have an understanding of buyer psychology, because in this market, they seem to want a deal. They see that your house has been on the market for a minute, so they think, hey, we can come in and lowball. So know what your bottom number is and know that you may not achieve it. So have a plan. So if you sell your house and your expectations are, I need X to move, whatever X is, what if you get Y? Can you still afford to move, to buy that next house? Do you have savings somewhere that you can close that gap so you can accept that offer, close, and move on to your next adventure? So those are some of my tips for you, the seller, and really they're universal, whether it's here in Margaritaville or in Bakersfield, California. Really, the market is specific to where you are. Reach out to a real estate professional to understand what your market looks like on a macro level, tiny little level, because what's happening in here in Margaritaville is not the same as what's happening in Sin City or Riverton Point or the Cahab communities or anything in Georgia. So understand the market. That's the logical side of your brain. And don't think that because you have navy cabinets and a top of the line cooktop with quartz countertops that your house is going to sell any faster or better than the one next door, because buyers buy pretty, but they also want value. So I would have to list my house at about the same level as the neighbor next door, and I will have to accept that I'm not going to get one-to-one value, meaning if I paid $1,000 for that range, I'm not going to get $1,000 back. I maybe get 50%, but the other 50% comes from me loving my kitchen. So bear that in mind. If you need more tips and tricks, my name is Penny Rafferty. Thanks for watching.